we want to go ahead and start where we finished off at last week. We kind of talked about decisions that you could look at and decisions you could make in choosing a partner. What would be wisdom? What would be a good choice of selection to marry yourself with as far as character goes, to align yourself with somebody who shares the same interest or same values and the same morals and the same ethics as you do, and the Most High. What we talked about last week was choosing wisely, choosing a wise relationship, choosing a person that you can see these virtues in as being valuable, as a reason to say this is a person that's worth my time, worth my energy, because that's ultimately what we want to do, is heighten our ability to see things the right way.
Not just using the beauty's only skin deep. It's just looking at the surface. This based on her hip ratio,
right,
I can see myself being with her for a long time.
Right. Yeah.
Based on her hair texture.
36, 24, 36.
Yeah. Based on her hair texture.
Numbers.
Yeah, her hair texture makes me want to put a ring on.
Right.
That's simple, right?
Very simple.
Okay.
So what we want to do is heighten the ability to make a wise decision based upon looking at the core values of a person. And so this is an extension of where we started at last week in Be Discreet in Marriage Part 1. So this is Part 2. So the first scripture we want to do is go to 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 1 to start the class up.
First Peter.
Shalom everybody that's logging in online on YouTube. Shalom everybody that's watching on Zoom. And welcome to another class of isbhpk San Antonio. Right. Topic is Be Discreet in Marriage Part 2. So let's go ahead and read 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 1.
1 Peter chapter 3 verse 1. Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands.
So what makes a good marriage, what makes a good relationship, is that we read that one of the final things we touched on last week. We was reading out of the Basilicon Duran, which means the king's gift, which was King James's letter to his son before he died. He feared assassination. King James, the one that had the Bible translated into English from Hebrew and Greek, he feared assassination, and so he wrote his son a letter telling his son what type of woman to choose, just in case he's not able to be there at the wedding, or be alive long enough to see his son get married. So this was the book that we had read from last week. It's called the Basilicon Duran, means the king's gift. You can find it on, I highly recommend it. You can find it on Amazon. You could Google it. It's called the Basilicon Duran. It means the king's gift. You can find it on PDF for free. You don't have to pay a lot of money for it. If you get it on Amazon, it may run a couple of $100, but if you get the PDF, you can download the PDF for free, and you can just print it out on your printer. So you don't have to pay no money. But there's a lot of great information regarding what King James was trying to prepare his son in order to look at before he chose a wife. So one of the last things we read in here last week was about making that right choice, making sure that he chose a woman that was equal to him in his fear of the Lord, or his rank, or his consciousness, making sure that he met a woman that was equal in fear or cautiousness. So he wanted to prepare his son to make sure that you align yourself with a woman that's right with you. All right. So he was giving a lot of great advice. So we want to kind of continue on that topic, and we want to start off on what makes the woman valuable and the duties of a wife, what she can work on as far as to incorporate into the marriage to make the marriage even better.
So is this
to make the union better? Yeah, you could say, to start this off, it is a woman's work. It is what makes a woman valuable. So let's read in 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 1.
1 Peter chapter 3 verse 1. Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands.
It says be in what?
Subjection to your own husbands.
So it says, wives, be in subjection or submit or yield your control over to who?
Your own husbands.
And why is it telling us in 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 1 that it's good for a wife to be in subjection to her own husband? He's going to explain why it's necessary that she submit herself. Go ahead.
That if any obey not the word.
So if she doesn't follow the commandments in her being obedient to her husband, what will happen? Go ahead.
They also may, without the word, be won by the conversation of the wives.
So if she doesn't respect the scriptures, and as far as the Bible telling her that it would be wise for a wife to be in subjection to a husband, she will get her influence from somewhere else. An outward source will penetrate her mentality, and no longer will she be in submission to her husband. She'll be following the people around her and the influence surrounding her.
Is that like Eve connecting with the serpent in the garden?
That's exactly what it is. Because if you notice how Satan in Genesis chapter 3, he didn't come at Adam, he came by way of Eve. And matter of fact, read on in that right there in 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 1.
1 verse 2?
Verse 1. Read it again.
Come. 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 1. Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives.
So other women will have more dominance and influence and input into your marriage than you do as a man. If you don't protect and she doesn't adhere to the instruction of what the scripture is telling her as far as her being in subjection to her husband. It's good for a wife to be in subjection to her husband. Now we're going to pick up where we were at in what we didn't read at in the Basilicon Duran in last week's class, when King James was telling his son, choose a woman that has this mentality. Choose a woman that has this type of fear. Choose this woman with this level of respect. So we're going to pick up on page 142. We're going to pick up on page 142. And I want you to read, started at the top paragraph. So we're in the Basilicon Duran, the king's gift, King James's letter to his son.
And to conclude, keep especially 3 rules with your wife.
So King James is telling his son, Prince Henry, remember these 3 rules. Make sure you keep this in mind as you get married. Now, King James wasn't there necessarily for his son's marriage, but in preparation for him to be married, this was his advice. Go ahead.
First, suffer her never to meddle with the politic government of the commonwealth.
So he's saying that you're the king. Don't let her meddle with the politic government. Her job is not to be in the political government. You're the king. She's the helpmeet. He said that previously in this chapter. Go ahead.
But hold her at the economic rule.
He says, but keep her responsibilities and keep her leadership overseeing what? Go ahead.
Economic rule of the house.
Where was her duties supposed to be at?
Economic rule of the house.
What was her responsibility supposed to be at?
But hold her at the economic rule of the house.
So he was saying, let her focus on the house, making sure that the house is running smooth, making sure that the house is running right.
Efficient.
Right, making sure it's running smooth. We read Proverbs 31 and it talks about the value of a wife, and her focus is the betterment of the household. That whole chapter, if you get a chance, and write this as a side note on your own time, read Proverbs chapter 31. That whole chapter is showing you the beauty of a woman who's focused on her house. All the things that she's willing to do and what she'll submit herself to, and making sure that the house is prevailing, that the house is sound, and that the house is safe and it's growing, and that the house is well nurtured and fed. These are responsibilities that King James is telling his son. Turn your focus and let your wife put her economic rule on the household. Make sure she subjects her mind to making sure the house is optimal. Because what happens when a man has a house that's not running smooth, it takes away from his duties. It takes away from what he's able to do, and now he has to split his mind on both the government, and now I have to split my mind on work for the needs of the body and the people around me. But I also now have to come home, and what position would it be for a man that has to battle and fight and go to war outside the house, and then come back home just to cook, clean, manage the kids, manage the household, manage the affairs of the household? Not saying that a man should be detached from that, but saying that it doesn't make any sense for a man to have to do all that by himself. That's one less thing that a man has to worry about if she can have the house in order. That's one less issue or distraction from his business. Read on.
It says the economic government of the house, and yet all to be subject to your direction.
And he says also make sure that everything goes through you. Now, she may be the ruler of the house as far as making sure the house is running smooth. She may set some of the schedules in the house, but make sure that she bypasses the information through you to get your approval. Go ahead.
Keep carefully good and chaste company about her.
He says keep good. He said King James is telling his son, make sure that you put good people around your wife. Make sure your wife has good company. Make sure she has equitable friends, equitable family members, or close friends and associates. Make sure she's able to put the right individuals around you. Around her. Because he knows that there's a certain amount of influence that a woman is subjected to if she has the wrong type of people and friends around her. If you got a wife that's obviously she's married, if she has kids, obviously she's a married woman with children. If she has nothing but single friends, can you imagine the impact and the advice that she's going to be getting from a variety of single friends around her?
Not wifely advice.
It's not wifely advice. You know what the advice might be? Girl, you need to take time for yourself. You need to go out sometimes. You too cooped up at the house. We've all heard this. But when you're in a relationship, you're bound to a commitment. You've accepted the fact that my outside life is taking a back seat. The little things I used to do when I was single, I don't do those things anymore. I don't have time for those things anymore. I'm committed to this marriage. So King James is telling his son, make sure you put the right type of company around your wife. Read that part again.
Keep carefully good and chaste company about her. For women are the frailest sex.
It says for women are the frailest sex. Meaning he's going to explain what it means when he says women are the frailest sex. Jump down to the commentary down at the bottom and explain.
144?
Yeah, explains what he's talking about when he's saying women are the frailest sex.
Commentary 144, page 142. In his treatment of women, this passage makes use of a number of classical commonplaces on the nature of women.
He says these are classical. These things have been written down for a very long time. Making sure that your woman has good company around her, good friends. He's saying this is classical advice. This is not new advice. This is what people in ancient times was concerned about as well. Making sure that your wife has the right people around her, with the right information going in and out of her ears, or within her mind, penetrating her mind. He said this is not new. This is classical advice. Go ahead.
This last being perhaps the most notable instance. See Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics for a description of the relationship between husband and wife in terms of a superior to an inferior. So basically, this is basic common sense. The Japanese, the Chinese, the Arabs, all nations should get the idea. The Greeks, this is not some deep, super deep wisdom. They're supposed to be a superior and an inferior in a business relationship, a superior and an inferior in a sporting relationship, a superior and inferior in any type of, to get anywhere there has to be a direction and a follow.
An educational system.
God.
A teacher and a student. A head and like a CEO and the employees. There's always going to be an inferior and a superior. So what he's saying is maintain as a man, maintain the superior position in the household. This is not new advice. Make sure you oversee the influence that goes in and out your woman's mind. What's around her. Protect that influence. Go ahead.
It says, for his assertion that the male is by nature fitter for command than the female.
Go ahead, because we know that the Most High made man first. Go ahead.
James locates the biblical source for the bias against women, stating that as the sex is frailer than man is, so is it easier to be entrapped in these gross snares of the devil.
It says, and it's easy to be entrapped by the gross snares of who?
Of the devil. Meaning what? Meaning what? It's easier to be influenced?
Right. He's saying that a woman, being that she is the weaker vessel, because that's what the scriptures call her, the weaker vessel, she's more subject to be, and she's more vulnerable to the snares of the devil. She's more vulnerable to influence than the man.
What people think around her. What people,
right.
Girl, I don't know why you wear that head wrap. Girl, I don't know why you listen to that man. Girl, I don't know why all these commandments, you got all these rules, baby. I'm free. I'm living good.
You can tell a man, hey man, you gained a little weight. A man be like, yeah man, I've been eating good. You know what I'm saying? A man will say, yeah, but I've been throwing down.
Yeah.
But you tell a woman, hey, man, you gained a little weight. And then it's fear. Then it's this anxiety coming over. Then it's, you know what? I don't feel confident. That might be an attack against her confidence. It doesn't have the same influence. So he's saying when you have a woman as the weaker vessel, she's more likely to be susceptible to being vulnerable to the attacks and the darts of Satan. And this is why you have to put that hedge around her, that level of protection. That's why it says in 1 Timothy chapter 2, read verse 14 real quick. 1 Timothy chapter 2 verse 14. Write that down too. You got a pen and paper. 1 Timothy chapter 2 verse 14.
1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 14. Of these things put them in remembrance, charging them before the Lord, that
1 Timothy chapter 2 verse 14.
1 Timothy chapter 2 verse 14.
Oh, that's 2 Timothy.
And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression.
It says Adam. It says Adam. It says for Adam was first formed in Eve. That's verse 13. Then verse 14 it says what?
And Adam was not deceived.
And Satan didn't hit Adam up because Adam would have been a harder, deceivable person when his relationship was tight with the Most High.
It was hard to work through him.
It would have been harder to work through him. He says, for Adam was not deceived. Go ahead.
But the woman being deceived was in the transgression.
It says, but the woman being deceived was in the what?
Was in the transgression.
So which one was the weaker one, and who was more allowable to be deceived?
So let's say about physical strength, right?
It's not talking about physical strength more than it is talking about mental integrity in order to bend or fold. A woman's more liable to fold or bend to that pressure. And that's why it says Adam was not deceived, it was Eve. So this is why you have to put a safeguard even that much more around a woman, because that influence weighs heavier on her than it does a man. And we know that from Ecclesiastes. Somebody get the Apocrypha. Go to Ecclesiastes in the Apocrypha. If you don't have Apocrypha, we got extra ones. And let me get extra Apocrypha. We're gonna go to page.
Correct. Pass it. Somebody pass it. Thank you, sir. Ecclesiastes what?
We're gonna go to page 92 in the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha is part of the Bible, originally part of the Bible. It was translated into English. King James had this translated as well. But during 1885, the Roman Catholic Church took it out of the Bible because they said it was non-canonical. So these 14 books were originally in the 1611 scriptures. So these were taken out, so they were part of the Bible for 274 years, and then the Catholics decided to remove it. So these books belong at the end of Malachi and before Matthew, between the Old and the New Testament. They belong in the scriptures. So it was the Roman Catholics that said, "Hey, we don't think this is canonical.
We don't subscribe.
We don't think this is God inspired." So they took this out. But this is initially part of the scripture.
White man said that. Huh?
Yeah, white. Yeah, exactly. So let's go to page 92, and let's read verse 24 and 25 in chapter 36.
Ecclesiasticus chapter
36.
Chapter 36, verse 24 and 25.
Okay. Ecclesiasticus chapter 36, verse 24. He that getteth a wife beginneth a possession.
It says when a man gets a wife, he begins a what?
A possession.
What's a possession?
What belongs to you?
It's a belonging. It's a responsibility. More so than just saying, "Oh, she's mine. I own her." It's not in that. It's not in that way. A man that gets a wife has another responsibility. You're now responsible for this woman. You're now responsible for the growth, for the development, for the nurture, for the edification of what goes in her mind. Now you're responsible for the spirit. So it says, he that getteth the wife getteth the what?
A possession.
Which is a responsibility. Read on.
A helplake unto himself.
Just like when you get a car, you got a responsibility. Now you got to maintain it. You got to put gas in it. You got to change the tires, put oil in it. You have to keep it up.
Keep it up. Keep it crashing.
Yeah.
Leave it dirty.
You can't expect it.
Yeah.
You can't expect the car to be of assistance to you for transportational needs if you never invest into it. If you never do what it takes to maintain the vehicle, never put the right oil, right gas, you never fill your tires up, how long do you expect it to last if you never put into it?
No checkups.
No checkups, no oil
We're
changes.
just gonna drive it until it breaks down.
I'm just gonna drive it until it burns out.
I'll get a new one.
You know,
I think it's crazy.
What's sad is a lot of men see marriage like that too. A lot of men see women like that too. You know what? She don't want to listen. Fine, I get another one. Cancel her. I give me another one.
Come.
It don't work like that. He said a woman must be maintained. That's what he's saying. She has to be maintained. You just can't let her operate and expect her to operate at a high performance level, and you don't check what's going inside the mind. If you don't check what's on her mind, if you're not filtering the thoughts and filtering the mind, you don't know where her mind is at. And so it must be maintained. She must be maintained as far as serviced. She must be ministered to, educated, taught, instructed. She got to be developed. She got to be groomed. She has to be nurtured.
Right.
Read on.
And a pillar of rest.
It said that if you keep the maintenance of your wife and you keep her growing and developing, he says you'll have a pillar of what?
Of rest.
You got a woman that will help you. You got a good source of help. You got a good source of support when you maintain the information that's on her mind. Read on.
Verse 25. Where no hedges.
It says where no hedge is, a hedge is a fence. A hedge is a wall. It's a barrier. It's a protective barrier. A hedge is a fence. He said when you got a wife, he said if you don't have a fence around your wife, read on.
There the possession is spoiled.
What happens to your wife?
The possession is spoiled.
You know why you need to put a fence around your wife? You need to put a fence around your wife and a fence around your daughters. Around both of them.
I got a definition for you. Hedge. It says to surround for defense.
To surround for what?
For defense.
Right.
To
And
fortify.
to fortify, so to strengthen. So now I'm protecting what goes on in my woman's mind. If you leave a woman with her mind unfiltered, there's no telling what she's entertaining or who she's entertaining. You got to check up and see, hey, where's your mind at? What's on your mind? What's happening with you? What's going on with you? How you feeling? How you doing? What's going on? You have to do some type of assessment. You got to do some type of analysis. What is going on in your mind? Where's your heart at? And this is why King James is saying to his son, when you get a wife, make sure that you put that border. Make sure that you put that fence around her. He said where no hedge is, the what?
Where no hedges, there the possession is spoiled.
He says there the possession is spoiled. It's no good for you no more. Because now it's been contaminated. What can be used as a great asset has now been contaminated, and it does you no good. And if you live life long enough, you can relate to the scripture. If you've been in enough relationships, you can relate to the scripture to understand what it's like when now there's the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, all these things are unchecked. Now it's hard to determine how far the relationship's going to last. This is when people hear, I think we're growing apart. You growing apart? How are you growing apart? Because I'm not checking up on the growth. I'm not checking up on the mindset. I'm not checking up on the emotional context of this person. Yes, sir.
We got a definition for hedge. It says to protect oneself from losing or falling by counterbalancing actions.
By counterbalancing actions. So now, what do I do as far as protective measures to make sure that my possession doesn't get spoiled? Do I just let her just go out and you just go out with whoever you want to go out with? You come in whenever you want to come in. You just do whatever kind of job that you want to do. Or you wear whatever kind of skirt, outfit, Daisy Dukes, whatever you got in the closet.
Show that back. Let everybody see the spine. Let everybody see all the polka dots going on.
Spaghetti straps.
Yeah.
Shoulders
be showing out.
The bikini onesies that women wear now.
Yeah.
It's really like a bikini, but it's like a onesie / bikini.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's like shorts connected to a bikini. It's a one piece.
Romper.
A romper.
Romper.
You know what I'm saying? So I just
Wrong with that.
And, you know, let's find out how much the wrong attention that she's gonna receive. Let's see how long she's not somebody else's wife as well as yours.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you gotta protect. That's the purpose of the hedge, is to protect. It's a protective measure. It's a protective barrier. And this way he says, where no hedge is, the what?
There the possession is spoiled.
And you're gonna lose her. If you don't put a fence around your wife, you don't check and see what's going on mentally, emotionally, thoughts, intentions. If you don't filter that, he says, read on in the next verse.
Because too, and you had brought up last week. You said that the daughters, it was the same spirit for the daughters because it says they will spoil themselves
Through overmuch liberty. Right.
So it's the same way for the child. That's the female, or the wife's the female.
Right. It's overmuch. That means if I don't lay down some type of restrictions, some type of countermeasures, then through liberty, or through influence, she's subject to be spoiled. She's subject to be lost or hurt because I didn't put up these measures. Because I never told her these are the type of people that you should be with. These are the type of friends you should have. If I'm not setting the standard and the restrictions, then she's bound to fall into any traps. Read on.
So to the next verse, or continuing this one?
Next verse.
All right. 26. Who will trust a thief?
No, that's it. That's what I want to make sure. We got verse 25. No, you didn't finish verse 25.
Right, that's what I was saying.
You didn't go to 20. Yeah, finish that in verse 25.
And he that hath no wife.
So if I didn't put up the barrier, if I didn't put up the fence, that protective measure, if I lose her, go ahead.
And he that hath no wife will wander up and down mourning.
Now I'll be heartbroken. Now I'm heartbroken because I lost what should have been mine. I'm heartbroken now because I lost what I should have protected, which I should have put a fence up. There's a lot of things now I'm in a losing position. I'm in a heartbroken position because I wasn't careful with the direction and the influence that was going into my woman's mind. Now I'm heartbroken. And this is what King James is saving his son from. He's saving his son from heartache and heartbreak because he said, you got to make sure that she's of the frailest sex. Read that part again.
It says, keep carefully good and chaste company about her. For women are the frailest sex.
Meaning they're easily influenced. Go ahead.
And be never both angry at once.
Let that go.
Okay.
What he's saying on that's a good point too. What he's saying is, when you deal with your woman, we're going to go ahead and read it because it is good.
Yeah.
What he's saying is, don't deal with each other when you're both angry. Don't communicate with one another when both of y'all are screaming at the top of your lungs or both of y'all are overthrown with emotion. If you're angry and she's angry, he's saying there's nothing good going to come out of this contention. There's nothing good going to come out of this debate. He's telling his son, if she's angry and you're angry and y'all try to deal with each other, nothing's good going to come out of it. What he's saying is somebody has to have the greater consciousness of where this thing is going if we allow this argument to keep escalating. That's why he says never be angry at once. Go ahead.
But when ye see her in passion.
But so when you see her loud, emotional, overthrown, screaming, yelling at the top of her lungs, go ahead.
Ye should, with reason, daunting yours.
Then you should be able to submit your emotion. So he's saying that it's on you to have more self-control if both of you guys are angry. Both of y'all can't be emotional and trying to solve a situation. Both of y'all can't be yelling at each other trying to fix a problem. Somebody has to be able to suppress and to control and to restrict those emotions and put those feelings under control and contain those feelings and contain that anger. And he's telling his son, it's on you to do that. It's on the man to say, you know what? If I meet this woman where she's at yelling, we both, it's gonna be a cold summer. It's gonna be a cold summer.
Cold summer.
A cruel summer.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna become enemies. He's saying I got to put my feelings under subjection. Go ahead.
For both, when ye are settled.
It says both when ye are settled. Go ahead.
Ye are meetest.
He said it's more better and more suitable and more fitting. Go ahead.
To judge of her errors.
Of the situation. So he's showing you there's a time to really go to war at the house, and not when the emotions are on edge. Calm yours down, suppress your feelings and emotions. I say this a lot, and I see a lot of young couples. I see them yelling, fussing, fighting, and all they're doing is wasting time. I see it all the time with especially young couples or new couples that are brand new, that can only see the worst in each other and that cannot contain their emotions. All they're doing is waste time. You wasting time because with all that energy that it took to argue, y'all could have been building on an idea. Y'all could have been coming together fixing something. You know how much energy it takes to argue and fight and debate and go back and forth? You could have been doing something good with that energy. That energy could have been going somewhere positive. But too many times, young couples are battling and going neck and neck for control, power, authority, decision making, rulership, or respect. And now all we did was stain and regress and retract our progression. We were moving forward, but with all this bickering and fighting and arguing and attitude and going back and forth, you lost time.
You lose 5 years like that.
You lost time. You can't get that time back. And a lot of times, it's not until it's too late, and the relationship is blown out of proportion, and now there's irreconcilable differences, and now a lawyer's involved, and now you got to split everything up down the middle, and now you're trying to see how you're going to see your kids. Now you're trying to see if there's communication and what custody I can have. Usually there's already a fallout. And when there's a fallout, then you're trying to pick the pieces up of the fallout. And now when you're trying to pick those pieces up, it gets expensive. Because I couldn't control myself at the time that I was in the midst of the argument. Because I couldn't contain myself, so this person was talking to me too close. So the spit fell out their lips and touched my face. So I constituted that as you spit on me. So in return, I choked you. Now it's a domestic dispute. Now I'm in jail. Because I'm retaliating because I ain't going to let nobody disrespect me. Call me out my name or call my mama out of her name. Now it's the most silliest of situations that have escalated and blown out of proportion. What King James is saying is that you must reduce, as the man he's telling his son, you must reduce your passion. Put your feelings and emotions under control in order to properly deal with her emotion. Because once again, she is the weaker vessel. Not giving a woman an excuse. That's not giving a woman an excuse to be disrespectful. That's not giving a woman an excuse to be hostile or to be violent. It's not giving her an excuse. But he's saying somebody has to be the bigger person, and to put them and sometimes it happens this way too. Sometimes it is the woman that's able to say, okay, this is going nowhere. Let me just calm down. Let me not just say nothing. Let me just keep my mouth closed. Somebody has to be smart enough in this situation in order for the marriage to continue. And that's all he's saying right here in this right here. All right? So he's given necessary advice for what it takes to be in a marriage. All right? So let's go back to 1 Peter chapter 3. And let's read verse 1 again.
1 Peter chapter 3, verse 1. Likewise.
Oh, so take your time. Take your time. Everybody get it. 1 Peter chapter 3. We're going back to 1 Peter chapter 3. 1 and 2, we're going to read on down verse 2 and then take it on down from there.
So 1 Peter, right?
Yeah, 1 Peter chapter 3, read verse 1 and 2.
1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 1 reads, Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands.
Put yourself under the authority of your husband. Don't make it difficult for your man to have his decisions executed. put his wishes and what he desires at the forefront of your relationship. Matter of fact, man, I gotta read this too. I hate having to go back to this, but read this right here. Just to finish, we read this last week, but I'm going to touch on it this week one more time. Read this right here. Ye are the head, she is the body.
All right. Page 141. Ye are the head. She is your body. It is your office to command and hers to obey.
So King James is telling his son, this is the structure of how the marriage should be situated. He said, you're the man, you're the head, she is the body. Obviously the head is central command. The head is where the sight, the ears, the brain, the instruction, the information comes from. The brain is the head is central command. Where the head goes, the body follows. And he said that's the structure of how it should be. Go ahead.
But yet, with such a sweet harmony,
he says, but it should be able to, even though she's the head, and I mean you're the head and she's the body, even though y'all play different roles and have different administrations, it still should be able to work. He says with a sweet harmony. That harmony is congruency. That harmony is agreement. He said you could still make this thing work by him being the head and she being the body. This relationship can still work with sweet harmony, sweet agreement. Read on.
As she should be as ready.
And this is how it's going to work with sweet harmony. She has to be ready to do what?
Ready to obey.
So if she's in a mind frame where she's ready to be obedient, man, this marriage can take off. That's one aspect of what she needs to be, the mentality she needs to have in order for this relationship to take off like a rocket. She has to be ready and willing to obey. Go ahead.
As ye to command.
And you have to always be ready to what?
Command.
Command. Another word for command is to teach, to instruct,
to guide.
To guide. Well, we don't. A lot of times, what's the main excuse of men? What's our main? Okay, top three. Then I won't say main. I'll say the top three.
One of them is I didn't have a father. Another was I didn't grow up and see this in my house. I didn't see this kind of order. I didn't know what to do.
I don't have time to deal with this.
What's that one?
I don't have time to deal.
I don't got time. I got too many things going on. I didn't see a marriage in my household work. I came from a broken home, or I'm too tired.
Yeah.
Usually it's that third
Top
one.
three. Top three.
Usually it's that third one that be ruling of why I don't feel like having this discussion. Why? Just do what I tell you to do. That's what we want to say. Just do what I tell you to do, woman. You know, that's about as far as we want. We don't want to have to explain why we would desire her to take this approach and make this decision. As if we were in that situation, we would make that decision. We're not always the best communicators and feeling like I have to explain this to you. Mm-hmm. Especially when I feel like you should know already. Especially when I feel like we've been together long enough for me not to have to explain to you what my desire is. You should know already. That's not always the case. You can't always anticipate. You can't always anticipate that your woman knows what you're thinking, because nobody's a mind reader. She's not a mind reader either. So that's why you always have to be willing to say, okay, if you didn't understand why I gave you this instruction, because a woman will probably ask you, why are you want me to do this? Just do it. Well, I don't see how this is going to work. Just do what I'm telling you to do, and you'll see the understanding afterwards. Then you don't, because I don't want to do is explain. I don't feel like explaining. I don't want to explain. I don't want to slow down to have to. Then when I do slow down, I say, okay, take the car. Go to Meineke. Tell them to put air in the tire. Stop at the store and pay the electricity bill. Then they say, what? You talking to me like I'm stupid. You talking to me like a child. You talking to me like I don't understand. A lot of times, what the hardest part that be destroying relationships is the lack of communication. The lack of communication, for one, both both. It's not like the 1950s where you got the wife that stays at home, like Leave It to Beaver or the Brady Bunch. The wife could just be there with the kids. No, that's not the world we live in. Usually, it requires two incomes to make a household work, especially in this day and age. One income usually isn't strong enough to where you can sustain. So a lot of times you need both of those incomes coming in order for the house to grow. So that means now instead of one tired person in the house that just got off work, you got two tired people at the house that just got off work. Now you can imagine the desire. Can you imagine the desire or the conversation when you got two tired individuals that just put in an 8 to 12 hour shift, and now they're trying to come to an agreement on who should do what first? She's looking at them dishes like you looking at them dishes. Both of y'all looking at them dishes.
This is looking back. Right?
Yeah. she's like, I just pulled an 8 hour shift, a 12 hour shift, and he's like, I just pulled an 8 hour shift. But who gonna get them dishes?
Who's gonna touch this?
Who's gonna touch? Who out of the both fatigued and the overworked and underpaid individuals that's in this household, out of the two, who's gonna hit them dishes?
Right.
Yeah.
And then get that dinner started.
Not me.
And that's the beginning of the fight right there. Because now the woman's looking at him like, I'm doing all this work. I'm doing
all this work.
I'm going to work.
God.
I'm going to work, and now I got to come home to some more work. And then you get to sit down. You get to kick your shoes off and ask where the remote is at, or you get to take your little nap. You get to sit on the recliner and lay back a little bit. I don't get to lay back. Now it's a struggle for, leisure. Who gets to? Now I got to sit here and watch you lay down. I'm tired too. Now I got to deal with the kids too. So now here comes the battle. But a relationship can work even amidst having all those responsibilities. But both parties have to be willing to instruct. And a lot of times what men do, they want to just let the woman just do what you want to do. Telling a woman do what you want to do, really just tell her, man, then you shouldn't do nothing. Because she want to go to sleep too. She want to take a nap too. Or she wants the same advantages that you have. She wants the same liberties that you have. A lot of these things are breakdowns in relationship. These are breakdowns in communication. These are the deteriorating factors of a relationship. Not all of these. Not saying that this is all the relationships in a sum. But a lot of these things are the eventual causes of the downfalls of marriages.
It's the breakdown of the system.
Right. When it could have worked with harmony. And it should work with harmony. But in order for it to work with harmony, both parties have to be willing to agree to their roles. That man's role is to stay in a constant teacher's position. I can't get tired of teaching. It can't frustrate me to keep teaching. It can't frustrate me to keep informing or to keep explaining. A lot of times men get tired of explaining. I don't want to explain no more. I thought you knew already. I told you this 50 times already. But that's not what she needs.
So you're saying that a lot of things break down partially because of the lack of ability to keep re-instructing.
Right. That on a man's part, but also on a woman's part, when she stops wanting to be obedient. When she gets tired of being obedient. Because she only sees the advantage going one way. She sees that her obedience only aids and assists one person, one individual. All of my sacrifices and my obedience is only helping the man. So now she gets fatigued of that, and she stops wanting to follow and be obedient, and she wants to start setting her own rules up and going off her own accord and consciousness and decision making. And then now there's a struggle, now there's a contention. So what King James is telling his son is in order for this relationship to work in sweet harmony, you have to be ready to do your role as a man, which is to teach, command, and keep teaching, keep instructing without getting bitter. And as a woman, you got to stay in a position of being obedient, even though you may be just as tired as he is. Or you have to be obedient, although you may see this man's flaws. Although you may see this man's errors and the mistakes that this man makes, and you still got to be obedient, even though you have to suffer right along with this man's bad decision making. And a lot of times women don't want to do that either. They get tired of doing it. I get tired of now coming up short on, I got to make $5 stretch a whole week because you're not good with money. Then the man blow the money. Now she's complaining ain't no money left. Now she's having to whip stuff together and put stuff together, trying to make something out of nothing. Because he's making bad decisions. I'm just using that for an example. That's not always the case.
It's like a bad coach it's like a team with a bad coach.
Right.
In sports.
Yep. So now it's hard for her to do her job. It's hard for her to be in the mentality of she's staying obedient to that man.
To stay subject.
But he's showing that this is what it takes in order to get to establish this sweet harmony in the marriage. Read that part again.
Right here it says, ye are the head, she is your body, it is your office to command and hers to obey, but yet with such a sweet harmony, as she should be as ready to obey as ye to command.
Both parties got to be willing to. The man has to be willing to keep teaching, and the woman has to be in the mind frame of constantly being obedient. Go ahead.
As willing to follow as ye to go before.
Go ahead.
Your love being wholly knit unto her, and all her affections.
It says your love has to be knit to her, meaning you can't grow bitter, you can't grow angry, and you can't grow cold on this woman. Because a lot of times that's what happens in marriages. The man starts to grow cold. Remember, Christ said that there was no law of divorce. He said, and the Pharisees asked Christ, why doth then Moses write a bill of a divorce? Christ said, in the beginning it was not so. He said, because of the hardness of your hearts did Moses write a divorce. So he's showing that what happens with men is we'll still be there. We'll be in the house. We'll still be in a relationship. But our minds aren't there. Our body is there. We'll sleep there. We'll eat there. But I barely want to be there. My mind is somewhere else. Because I'm turning cold on this person. And this is why he's saying that in order for this thing to be established with sweet harmony, he says a man's love has to be there with his woman. You can't grow cold on each other. Read on.
It says, and all her affections.
And just as much as he can't grow cold on his woman and grow bitter to his woman, her affections, go ahead.
Lovingly bent to follow your will.
She has to, no matter what.
All her affections.
Lovingly bent on following his will. Meaning that what the satisfaction that she receives from being in a marriage is not gaining I gotta feel important. I gotta feel like I'm in charge, or I gotta have the control of the relationship. What she's enthusiastic about as a wife is the fact that her affection, what's important to her, what she loves, is the fact that she stays in order. This is her mind frame. That I love this man and I'll stay in order no matter what. That's what it would take in order for, she can't have any outside affections. If there's any outside affections, anything that's pulling her, that's gaining her attention, that's more important in her mind, then she's not going to serve you anymore. Now we know in Romans chapter 6 verse 16 it says what? Somebody read that. Romans chapter 6 verse 16.
Romans 6 and verse 16.
Everybody write it down, everybody get it. Romans chapter 6 verse 16. Everybody write it down, everybody get it. Go ahead.
Reads, know ye not?
It says, don't you understand? Don't you know? That's why it says, know ye not? Don't you understand? Go ahead.
That to whom ye yield yourselves servants to obey.
That whoever you submit yourself to. So as a wife, if I got more of my mother's advice in my marriage than my husband's, then it's like I'm damn near married to my mother.
That's not cool.
And then the man is married to both of them.
Mom.
Because now, am I married to you or am I married to your mother? Am I married to you or am I married to your father? So he said, don't you understand that what?
That to whom ye yield yourselves servants to obey.
Or if a woman her affection is whatever her friends tell her is it must be law and that must be true. And I believe my friends over you. I take my friends' advice because I've been knowing them longer than I've been knowing you. I've been knowing them since I was a kid. So I listen to my friends. So my friends' advice are more important and more critical to me than my husband's advice. He says, don't you understand that what?
That to whom ye yield yourselves servants to obey.
Whoever you allow yourself to listen to and to receive instruction from. Go ahead.
His servants ye are to whom ye obey.
You're that person's servant. So if a wife is in a marriage, she can't have her affection and the bulk of her knowledge coming from outside influences. She has to love that her instruction predominantly comes from her husband. That's where the majority of her instruction comes from. And she has to love it. Because if she don't love it, she's going to entertain every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Lisa, Marie, Stephanie, she going to listen to everybody else. Lauren, everybody else at the job is more important as a source of influence than you are. Or she'll listen to her boss. She'll listen to her coach. She'll listen to all these other influences, and whoever she decides to listen to, that's really who she's in subjection to. Read on.
Whether of sin unto death,
Whether it's something negative, go ahead,
or of obedience unto righteousness.
or obedience unto righteousness. So if she watches more TV and gets more information from Oprah, then she's married to Oprah. And because Oprah is the source of her information, because that's where her affection is at. She watches The View. She likes Whoopi Goldberg telling her how she should function as a wife more than she does the influence of what the man is telling her coming from the source, from the Bible. He said, don't you understand that whoever you submit to, that is who has control over you? That's who has the most predominant influence over you, whether it's positive or negative. Mm-hmm. So for a man, his job is to not turn cold on a wife. For a wife, her job is to have her love, her affection, at all times bent and submitted to her husband. Because if not, that's the beginning of problems. Now that's not your wife, that's somebody else's wife. Because that's wherever her affection's at, that's who she belongs to. Whatever she finds important, whatever she deems respectable or important to her, that's where her love is going to be at. That's who she's going to be married to. So it's critical what King James is saying to his son is that in order for these relationships to establish sweet harmony, both have to have this mentality. Both have to have this mind frame. All right? I think we got enough of that. Go back to where we was at in 1 Peter chapter 3.
1 Peter chapter 3,
1 and 2.
and verse 1 says, likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husband.
And that's why the scripture is saying you need to be following your own husband. The source of your information can't come from 1,000 other sources.
Okay.
What makes you feel good and feel confident can't be from other sources. Your confidence has to come as a wife. It has to come in the fact that you're in order with your husband. That's where your confidence has to come in at. That's where your confidence comes from. The fact that I'm in order. Don't you know that's what a head wrap represents? Go to 1 Corinthians chapter 11. Because a lot of women wear head wraps, but they don't understand what it means. When a woman wears a head wrap or a scarf, it's signifying that she's in order with her head. Why have a head wrap and you're not in subjection to your husband? Because that's what the head wrap represents. 1 Corinthians chapter 11.
1 Corinthians chapter 11. No, verse up.
Start at verse 1.
1 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 1 reads, be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Christ. Now I praise you, brethren, that ye remember me in all things, and keep the ordinances
And then he said, keep the what?
Keep the ordinances.
This is how you know you're in order, when you keep these ordinances. This is how you know you're right. You're acceptable in the eyes of the Most High when you're keeping this order. What is the order that's acceptable? Go ahead.
As I deliver them to you. But I will have you know that the head of every man is Christ.
So if Christ is not the head of a man, then that man is unacceptable in the sight of the Most High. That man is unacceptable. He says, the head of every man is who?
Christ.
Who should be the source of information that a man should be getting his instruction from?
Christ.
Who should be the head?
Christ.
Who should his information, his knowledge come from?
From Christ.
His knowledge comes from Christ. Because Christ is the head. Don't forget it. He said this is the order. This is the order of operations. A man should be getting all his knowledge from Christ. Go ahead.
And the head of the woman is the man.
And who should the woman be receiving her instruction from?
The man.
The man. Now everybody's in order. If he's in order with Christ and she's in order with him, then by default she's in order with Christ too. Now everybody's in order.
Everybody's winning.
Everybody's winning. Go ahead.
And the head of Christ is the Most High.
And the head of Christ, even Christ has a head. Even Christ doesn't do what he wants to do. Even Christ doesn't create his own decision making. And he doesn't live after his own lust in his life. Christ has a head. He has a source of instruction. The source of his instruction is the Most High. Read on.
Verse 4. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head.
Now, the way the Most High set it up, a man should not cover his head whether he's praying or prophesying or teaching or being taught. It's a disrespect because that's the way it's set up. Read on.
Verse 5.
So how does a man show that he's in order with his head? If a man has a hat on, he has a scarf over his head, the way he shows that he's in order, he takes it off. Because that's how a man shows I'm in order. Because when I'm praying to the Most High, or I'm teaching, or I'm getting taught, I uncover my head, because that's how I'm showing the Most High I'm in order with you. That's a signification, identifier. Read on.
It says right here, verse 5. But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered.
Now what she's saying is, I'm the man. Now she's operating in the capacity of a man. She's not operating in the capacity of a woman.
I'm the boss.
She's saying, I'm the head. I'm a man. She's taking the role or position and the output of a man. Of what the Most High said, this is what indicates a woman, this is what indicates a man. So she's stepping in manly shoes. She said, I don't need to cover my head. Go ahead.
It says, but every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head.
And who's her head?
The man.
The man is her head. She's saying, I'm equal to the man. So then, what does the head cover represent then?
Order.
That I'm in order. With who? With my husband.
Huh.
That's what the headscarf represents. That I'm in order with my husband. I'm in order with my head. A lot of women wearing headscarves, but the husband is not the source of their affection. It's not the source of their instruction. Then you might as well take the headscarf off then, because you're not in order. It does you no good. Read on.
It says right here. It says, for that is even all one as if she were shaven.
It said, then why even have hair on your head then, if you're going to operate in a masculine vibration? Isn't it odd that women that carry a masculine vibration shave their head? Isn't that ironic?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
They don't read the Bible. They know. The Spirit knows this.
The spirit be speaking.
Yo.
You got do-rag on. You got your pants sagging.
Wow.
You got the bald fade.
She got 360 waves.
Got the wave. Right?
Yeah.
Spinning, huh?
What was the purpose of giving a woman a hair? The hair was a form of glory. Read on. Then he's saying that she's not deserving of that glory. If she's going to operate out of the capacity of a woman, she's not deserving of that glory. If she's going to be rebellious or be masculine. Read on.
Verse 6. For if the woman
No, finish that. It says yes. Read that. Yeah. It says let her. For if the woman be not covered, let her be what? You right.
If the woman not be covered, let her also be shorn.
Then we might as well. If she's saying I'm operating in a man's capacity, then cut all her hair off. Then take her glory away as a woman. Take her covering off. She's not in order. And it's supposed to be an embarrassment. It's not a hairstyle. It's really an embarrassment for a woman to lose her glory. It's really an embarrassment. Read on.
It says, for if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn.
Then if she don't want to be in order with her head, then cut her hair off. You don't need no glory then. Go ahead.
But if it be a shame for a woman,
but if it be a what?
A shame.
But that is a shame. A woman's supposed to have a covering. That's why the Most High gave her hair as a covering. It's her glory. But also, when she covers her head, she's showing that not only is this my glory, but I'm also in order with my head.
Mm-hmm.
So, if I understand what the purpose of a woman covering her head is, she's signifying I'm in order with my husband. Don't wear the head wrap. You got 1,000 women on YouTube and Instagram that say they're Israelites. Got on head wraps, but they out of order. They care about more likes than they get from people than the like that they get from their husband. The outside influence is more important and critical to them than their husband's approval.
Right.
So let that go, and go back to where we was at in 1 Peter.
1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 1 reads,
Read that.
likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands.
Go ahead.
That if any obey not the word,
If you don't, what's the word? We just read it in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 3 and 4. Who was the head of the woman?
the man.
The man. So if a woman doesn't want to obey or follow this order or instruction, go ahead.
Says they also may without the word be one.
And because she doesn't respect the word, because she doesn't have a fear of the word of the Most High, she doesn't have a respect for what we just read in 1 Corinthians chapter 11 about being in order with her head, then guess who's going to be her teacher? The outside influences are going to be her teacher. The outside influences are going to be who she's in subjection to. And you already know how that goes when the world is your influence. You already know what happens when the world has more influence on you than righteousness.
Okay.
You already know what's going to happen to you. You're setting yourself up for failure. Great point, sis. Read on.
Says they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives.
Because you know what? There's always going to be pressure on a woman. There's constant pressure on a woman just like there's constant pressure on a man. Who you with? Who you're in are you in a relationship? Are you being taken care of? Are you eating good? What kind of man you got? What kind of purse you got? What kind of car you drive? What kind of job you got? Where do you work at? It's all women size each other up all day long. Women don't even know each other. They be in the grocery store sizing each other up. They be looking at each other up and down.
That's crazy.
They be sizing each other. Women, it's a constant with women about sizing it. Look at her shoes. Yeah, women talking about each other all the time. Who she thinks she is.
Oh, what does that mean?
What does that mean, man?
Put some shoes on today.
Yeah. Who she thinks she is. You know, what is that, man? Criticism, man. You get caught up in that. You get caught up. Women get caught up comparing themselves to other women.
True.
Yeah, you've been watching the Housewives of Atlanta all day. What do you think is gonna happen to you when you've been watching other people's lifestyle all day? You've been flipping through other people's life on Facebook all day. You've been flipping through people's lives on Instagram,
right,
and what she got on and what she wearing, where should her purse come from, and look at her stomach and You've been doing it. You've been comparing yourself to women all day long. You don't think that that's not going to have an effect on you? You don't think that that's why the scripture says, does the scripture not say it in vain that the spirit lusteth to envy? Don't you know the Bible tells you that your spirit naturally wants to envy somebody? It's natural to envy somebody else, to covet other people. Especially when a woman being the weaker vessel, how much more is she comparing herself to other women? You as a husband, you can't look at another woman. What you looking at her? What she got that I ain't got? What can she do for you that I can't do for you? Damn, I just said good morning. I just said hello. Why has it got to go to what she can do for me that you can't do? Because it's natural for a woman to compare herself. And if a woman doesn't understand that herself, she's vulnerable to the effects and the influences of all these outside sources. Read on.
This is verse 2. While they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear.
He said, what other women are supposed to be watching you as a wife. They're supposed to be watching you as a daughter of Zion. They're supposed to be watching you as a woman that's in order with the Bible. They're supposed to be watching you with your head covered for the right purpose. They're supposed to be watching you receiving the right instruction and the effect that the Bible has on you as a woman. Other women are supposed to be watching you, not you watching them.
Mm-hmm.
They're supposed to listen to your conversation. That word chaste means pure from carnality. While they all talk about all the loose things and gossip that women talk about at work or school or wherever they are, they hear you talking about pure conversation free from carnality. You're not talking about worldly things. You're not talking about things that the world cares about. Your conversation has nothing to do with their conversation. Real quick, they'll realize she's not one of us. But you know what? You're not supposed to be one of them anyway. They're not supposed to be patting you on the back and saying, "Girl, I like the way you do." No, you don't. You ain't. I'm in a different mindset. I'm in a different spiritual place. I shouldn't be receiving praise from worldly women. Not in that fashion that I'm keeping up with them. You know what they're supposed to be doing? They're supposed to be modeling themselves after my conversation and the fact that I don't talk about gossip. I don't envy other people. I don't talk about who's doing what. I'm not in everybody's business. My mind is not in everybody else's house. They're supposed to be influenced by you as a woman that's in the Word. He says that they behold your what?
Your chaste conversation.
Another word for chaste is clean. Clean conversation. You ain't talking dirty at work. You're not talking about who you going to hit over the head or who money you going to get. Who you going to have a baby by? Who going to be your next baby daddy? All this is frivolous, worldly talk.
Crazy talk, son.
Wow.
Come.
He's saying they should be listening to your clean conversation at work. That's the effect that you should be having as a woman on the people that's around you. They notice how pure the conversation, the content, and the substance of your conversation is.
Mm-hmm.
Read on.
It says coupled with fear.
It says pure from every fault. They don't have a reason to say she's a skank, or she's a loose woman, or she's a thot, or she's a whore. Or they don't have you don't give them no room to even put you in that category as a woman. They can't even put you in that category because you don't dress like it, you don't talk like it, you don't behave like it. You're in order, and your head is covered.
I'll never forget this. This might be a crazy conversation, but years ago, I took our Rick to a club, right? No, I usually don't do that, but I said let's go to the club, man. I would not do that now. You know what I'm saying? But back in the day, I was young. I was like, let's go to the club. So me and her went to the club, and she had her head wrap on, and she had a dress out, and the women in the club were like in complete respect of her. I've never seen women respect a woman like that in the club. They're like getting out the way for her and letting her roll, and they were like looking at her like this, and they were like they had to put the head down, like when she looked at them, like she like they were kind of like they were kind of like she made them feel some type of way, and they were dressed real crazy, and they were dancing crazy, but like it's like they looked up to her, and I was like I couldn't understand till you broke this class down why that spirit was like that. 'Cause I was just young, but it's beautiful when a woman stands up in righteousness. It commands respect even amongst the women.
Yep.
Because a woman dressing properly and having her head wrapped is supposed to inspire respect for men also. You shouldn't have men be looking at you crazy and looking at your body all crazy and coming at you with some kind of, let's come straight at you and you're a married woman. That's really disrespect because they don't respect what you represent.
Neither do you garner respect either.
So I
and like you said, if a man's looking at you with his tongue hanging out, then what are you showing him? A dog is a dog, right?
Come on,
He gonna do what a dog man gonna do what a man gonna do. You can't blame the man. It's your responsibility to put the hedge about her. That means your discretion is what rules her wardrobe. That man, if I say, I don't really like that outfit, that's a little too revealing. Do I need to go into a 45-minute discussion about the definition of the word revealing? And do I got to go to sometimes you might have to. Sometimes you got to make it a class. Sometimes you got to make an outfit a class. Well, then let me sit down and let me explain why this whole outfit thing that you're choosing to put on is giving the wrong idea and energy and teaching the wrong lessons to other women and men and to your daughters and your children. Now I got to go through a whole story and I got to start pulling examples from all different directions to be able to explain why that dress is too tight. It's not always as simple as, hey, that's too tight. But if a woman has her husband's thought process, then she could look at it and self-reflect and say, well, if he's saying it's too tight, then maybe he sees something I don't. Maybe he see, but a lot of times women are so insecure, they take it the wrong way. What are you trying to do? You trying to tell me I'm fat? I don't look good in it? It has nothing to do with that. This is about the hedge that I'm putting up around you, and I'm preparing you not to be bombarded by all these outside influences before you leave the house. I'm trying to fix a problem before it ever is one.
Exactly. So would that hedge be the man showing love? How a man shows love?
Yeah, it is. That is care. That is care that I'm keeping you safe. I'm keeping you free from harm. That should be respected. But we're still talking about influence. Who should be influencing who? These godly women should be influencing these ungodly women. These worldly women. Read on.
Right here. Who's adorning.
Now stop right there. There's a lot of definitions of adorning. One of the definitions of adorning an apt and harmonious arrangement. Another definition of adorning. Decoration. Another definition of adorning, the world. Another definition of adorning, the sixth definition of adorning, the ungodly multitude. See, adorning has different variations of meanings. It could mean how you decorate yourself, but it also could mean, it can also represent a worldly, ungodly multitude of people. The sixth definition of adorning, the ungodly multitude, the whole mass of men alienated from the Most High, and therefore hostile to the cause of Christ. I'll read it again. Sixth definition of adorning. The ungodly multitude, the whole mass of men alienated from the Most High, and therefore hostile to the cause of Christ. That means that a woman can represent herself as a worldly woman who's alienated from the Most High, disconnected, detached from the Most High, and who is an enemy of Christ. Or a woman could be decorated with an apt or harmonious arrangement or constitution. Another definition of adorning is displaying beauty. See, a lot of times the understanding of what's beautiful is tainted. And unfortunately, until a woman is taught the Bible, she will retain a worldly, ungodly definition of how she decorates herself and what she considers beautiful.
Okay.
Her definition is completely worldly until she's taught the scriptures. Her understanding of what's beautiful is off and crooked until she's taught the scriptures. Her idea of dress, of speech, of behavior is crooked. And a lot of times, if a woman's not humble enough, she won't allow herself to be told or shown or re-educated on what's appropriate. Because that's what apt is. I'm appropriate. This is appropriate dress. This is appropriate behavior. This is appropriate speech. A woman has to be humble enough and meek enough to allow somebody to re-show her that dress that you choose, your style of clothing, is backwards. It's upside down. It's an enemy of Christ. Your wardrobe and your selection is completely worldly, and it's disgusting in the eyes of the Most High. It takes humility to do that, for a woman to receive that. Yes, sir.
There was another definition of that, says furnished with power or authority of kings or emperors.
And we ain't kings and emperors yet.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't on that level yet. But you know what? Everybody, they want to dress like a queen. Everybody want to be a king and dress like queens.
We're supposed to have at least noble virtue.
But you got to. There's more important things that the scripture is about to explain than just some outward expression of decoration.
Come.
There's more important and more critical things to the Most High than what you choose to and how you choose to decorate yourself. Now, read verse 3.
It says, whose adorning, let it not be that outward adorning.
It says, the way that you decorate yourself as a woman, it is not supposed to reflect the world. It's not supposed to reflect an ungodly multitude. It says, the ungodly multitude, the whole mass of men alienated from the Most High, my wardrobe shouldn't reflect that I'm disconnected from the Heavenly Father and therefore hostile to the cause of Christ. My wardrobe shouldn't say that. There's more important things that I should be caring about as far as decorations, things to beautify myself that matter to the Most High that other people cannot even see. The real decoration's on the inside. The real beauty is the things that you fix within yourself coming from the example of the scriptures. That's what the real beauty is. He says, not with the outward adorning. Go ahead.
It says, not with the outward adorning of plaiting the hair.
Of what?
Plaiting the hair.
The definition of the word plaiting, and interweaving, braiding, an elaborate gathering of one's hair into knots.
Can I say this?
Mm-hmm.
So, is it to say that the Most High is against a person looking good, or is the Most High against a person investing in their external element or their look to attract attention?
I would say the second thing you said, but I would say the Most High is not against a woman that's looking good, but her focus and her concentration is not so much in the how she looks. What's more important is she displaying the virtues that the Bible says that a good woman should have. So I probably got it. So it's what angers the Most High is if a woman's all decked out, beautiful on the outside, but shallow and empty on the inside. Or she's lacking these virtues on the inside, but she's all decked out. On the outside, gorgeous. But on the inside, missing something. Corrupt, empty, shallow, very base, immoral, immodest, unchaste. So he's saying that there's more valuable things to put on a woman than just what you can see with the eyes.
Okay.
A woman's mind can't care so much and be totally consumed with how they look and how they appear to the masses. Because then you got a problem. Then you got a woman that's competing with everybody in the world. But a real woman of the Most High is looking to decorate herself with the inward things. See, there's inward value, inward gold, inward jewelry that she could put on that's acceptable in the eyes of the Most High. It has nothing to do with the hair. You can get all the weaves you want, you get all the braids you want, you can get all the hairstyles you want. You can look through every magazine and choose your hairstyle. That doesn't make you a godly woman. Hairstyles, $300 a month bills and tickets on hair. You get your hair done twice a week, once every 2 weeks, 3 times a month. Whatever you spend on your hair does not make you a godly woman, because you got a high-priced wig interwoven into your hair. That doesn't mean you're a godly woman, because that's what the world quantifies as being beautiful. That does not have anything to do with the Most High.
She looks divine.
Yeah. You know what? That's why Belle Biv DeVoe said what? That girl is poison. Never trust a big brother smile. That girl is. That's why they had to come back with a song. You know what I'm saying? They had to make the video with and a dance to go with it. You know what I'm saying? They had a song, a dance, and choreographed music video to that song, because there's a lesson in that. You know what? Because a lot of people bite the bait. They bite the bait and not realize, man, you're dealing with a crooked woman. You don't even realize what you got. You're too busy looking at the external. Woman's empty on the inside. Read on. He said, not with the outward adorning. Go ahead.
It says, and of wearing of gold.
Not because she's decked out. She got the jewelry on. She got the Marc Jacobs, the David Yurman bracelets.
Yeah,
she got the new Kardashian purse or Jimmy Choo's. Say it again.
James
Avery, whatever. She got all the charms on her wrist. She got every charm James Avery ever made. Got every charm, Pagonia. She got all the charms that explain her likes and what she's into. You know, I love horseback riding. I love volleyball. I love reading books. So I got the book charm on my wrist. You know, I read. So I got the praying hands, and this is me. This is me. I got all the bracelets. I got all the charms. This is me. That's not you. That's what don't make you beautiful. Ain't nothing you can put on make you beautiful. And that's what a lot of women don't understand. It doesn't make you valuable in the eyes of them. Your value is not in what you put on. It's not the cost or the price tag that you spend a month on your wardrobe or your outfit. Read on.
It says right here. It says, or of putting on of apparel.
Or, because you got the nicest. You go shopping every month and you got a new outfit for every occasion. You don't wear the same thing twice. That don't make you valuable, because you don't wear the same thing twice. Girl, I got so many shoes, I ain't wear the shoe. I could wear a different pair of shoes for 6 months straight. Some people got it like that. Yeah. I forgot I had these. I ain't even wore these yet. These still brand new.
That's funny. That's funny.
That doesn't make you beautiful, because you got options. Because you got wardrobe options. That don't make you attractive. That don't make you stand out amongst women. Read on.
Verse 4. But let it be the hidden man.
It said, but let it be the what?
The hidden man.
See, a real woman that's in the Most High will start working and decorating herself with inward values. Those inward values are critical. Those are must-haves. These are things that she's focused on. These are things that she cares about. These are things that she's looking to add to herself. It's not in the outward appearance. Real beauty is on the inside. That's why he said in Ecclesiastes, in chapter 25, he said what? Ecclesiastes, read this real quick in the Apocrypha. Somebody get this. Ecclesiastes chapter 25. It says,
Find a more view.
nope. Ecclesiastes chapter 25 and verse 21. Read that.
Ecclesiastes 25.
And tell them what page you're on in the Apocrypha, in the red book.
Page 85, right?
Page 85 at the bottom. Ecclesiastes chapter 25 verse 21. It's the last verse at the bottom on page 85. Read that.
Says, stumble not.
It says, that's why it's telling the man to do what?
Stumble not.
Don't get caught up. To stumble means to get caught up or entrapped. Don't get caught up or entrapped in what?
At the beauty of a woman.
It says, do not lose your wits or go out of your mind because of the way a woman looks on the outside. You have no idea what that person is like on the inside. You have no clue. That's why it says, stumble not at what?
At the beauty of a woman.
Read on.
And desire her not.
And don't go after her.
Wow.
Do not go after her. Go ahead.
For pleasure.
For pleasure, because you're thinking about lust. Satisfying your lust. Those are the wrong reasons to make a marriage.
Huh?
Those are the wrong reasons to hook up. I'm only going for external, visuals, appearance. And I say that's a good woman. I have no idea the habits, the vices, the addictions, the thought process, the lack of modesty or moderation, the inability to obey or listen or follow. I have no idea what I'm dealing with. It is a true saying that beauty is only skin deep. That's about as far as it goes. It doesn't have any effect on the mind. Beautiful on the outside does not equate purity within. Spiritual well-being. It doesn't equate that. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Proverbs 11, verse 22. Good point. Proverbs 11 and 22.
Write this down. Write it down. Write it down.
Proverbs 11, chapter 11, verse 22. As a jewel of gold in a swine's snout, so is a fair woman which is without discretion.
Break that down.
So that jewel is supposed to be something that's very beautiful, right? A jewel is something that's precious and valuable that everybody can see. But where's the jewel at? It's in the nose of a swine. What is a swine? It's an animal that loves filth. It's an animal that lives at a low level. It's an animal that would eat anything, absorb anything, and it can't detox. It can't release all the toxins. Pigs don't sweat. Pigs do not sweat. They cannot sweat. You get the arm and you push the arm and the little
Pus vein.
all the pus and all the filth will come out. If you pull the arm and you press it, the pus will come out then. But it cannot naturally on its own release filth. So this jewel, this precious thing, this is comparing a woman that's beautiful physically, like that jewel. But what? No discretion. If I have no discretion as a woman, then I'm referred to biblically as what? A pig.
Pig.
And what makes a pig a pig? It likes dirt. It loves dirt. And guess what?
Sleeps in mud.
It sleeps in mud. It can't detox. It can sit in its own excrement, its own crap, and be at peace. I can sit in my own crap every day, and I'm at peace in my chaos. I'm at peace in negativity. I'm at peace in filth.
And you know what? The pig eats slop. He eats his own crap. That means that the pig lacks discernment. The pig lacks the ability to determine what is good for me and what's bad for me. There's a lot of women that lack discernment. They can't tell what's good for them or bad for them, so they embrace everything. They put themselves in any position. They deal with any person. They don't have any discretion. They take on any relationship with any person, and they deal intimately with anybody. There's no discretion about them. There's no regard to what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. They don't have that conversation with themselves. Maybe I shouldn't wear this. No, I should wear this. You know what I'm saying? It's no regard. It's no restraint. They lack restraint. They can't decipher what's good and bad. They can't determine or separate the difference. Pig eat anything. Anything you throw it in front of his face, dead or alive, they'll eat it. So he's showing that
Even the bones.
even the bones, bro. He's just showing you that's a great scripture demonstrating what happens when you decorate a pig. Beautiful on the outside, but filthy within. Yes, sir.
There's a definition for swine. It says a contemptible or a unpleasant person.
A contemptible or unpleasant what?
Unpleasant person.
An unpleasant person. What makes them contemptible or unpleasant? They lack discretion. A woman that lacks discretion is what makes her contemptible and what makes her unpleasant. She doesn't have a gate over her mouth. She doesn't have a filter. There's no restraint about her. There's no self-control about her. That's what makes her contemptible. All right?
So that doesn't that leave place for a man? That's why this person should have a man, technically, like a father figure.
Yeah. Somebody to show what's appropriate.
Versus taught wrath by your father.
Say it again.
Versus taught wrath by your father.
Right. You know, but that's why it's great for the fathers to be involved, because they can set those guidelines up and train that daughter, that young lady, to become this woman, along with having other physical examples of virtuous women around them, so they can pick up on these habits and adopt these attributes. Go back to where we was at in a great verse. Go back to where we was at in 1 Peter chapter 3.
1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 4. But let it be the hidden man of the heart.
It says, but let it be the what?
The hidden man of the heart.
That part that says hidden man is talking about the part that's concealed, the part that's secret. It says, definition, write this down. It says the decorations of a woman is not supposed to be on the exterior. It's supposed to be on the inside. It says the hidden man of the heart. Definition of heart: the center and seat of spiritual life. The center and seat of spiritual life. So what should her concern be more than getting the latest purse or the latest jewelry or the latest outfit? What should be her concern? Spiritual life. Her spiritual well-being is more important. How does she look to the Most High? How does the Most High look at her is more important than how people look at her. That's what's more important to her. It says, another definition of heart: denotes the center of all physical and spiritual life, the center and seat of spiritual life. So it's the concentration of everything that the Most High considers beautiful, both physically and spiritually. So in my behavior and in how I carry myself, how I think, how I operate, that's more important to me than what I choose as my style. My style don't mean nothing to me. Because when you attack somebody's dress code, you attack somebody's behavior, they think that you're cramping their style. You're just a hater. No, I'm not just a hater. I'm telling you that what you got on is inappropriate as a woman.
My woman.
Right. So it's somebody thinking that it's a taste difference. That's just, you just don't like my taste. No, you're right. I don't like your taste. I don't.
No flavor.
You're right. This is not the Most High's taste. This is not what the Most High considers a virtuous woman. Now go to Wisdom of Solomon in the Apocrypha. What are the jewels? What are the stones? What is the decorations that a woman is supposed to be adding to herself? Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 8, and read. Let me get it real quick. Sorry.
It's page 62 in the red apocrypha. Page 62.
Verse 7. Now you got your Josephus, right? Everybody got a Josephus?
Yes, sir.
All right. If you don't, see if we can pass out a couple more. Yeah.
You said verse 4?
Yeah. All right. So let's get the Apocrypha first. Page 62. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 8. And let's read verse 7.
Oh, verse 7. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 8, verse 7. And if a man love righteousness,
It says, if a woman or a man loves to do things the right way, righteousness is what's right to the Most High, not what's right to them. Yeah, you may have your own taste. Yeah, you may have your own flavor. Yeah, you may have your own style. But is your style appropriate to the Most High's taste? Is it appropriate to His style? Is it conducive to His liking? Because that's what matters. If you care about that, then these are the things that you'll be acquiring, not the latest outfits, not the latest shoes, jewelry, purse, clothes, hairstyles. These things are irrelevant. So if you love doing things and being acceptable in the eyes of the Most High, then this is what you'll concentrate on. Read.
and if a man love righteousness, her labors are virtues.
What shall she be looking to do?
Her labors are virtues.
She'll be looking to build herself up inwardly. See, virtues are an inward decoration. These are inward decor that you can't see from the outside. You can't see a woman's virtue from the outside. This is something that's built up over time through instruction and through training and being influenced by the right individuals. Yes, sir.
Yeah, virtue right here, the etymology dictionary says moral life and conduct.
It says moral life. Your morals is your decision making. Your morality is the thoughts that you separate between good and bad decisions. You can't see a moral woman from the outside right off the bat. But you start to, because a lot of times you see head wraps and dresses, but that doesn't mean she's moral. You don't start seeing morality until you start seeing their decision making.
That's true.
Once you start seeing a person's decision making, then you start seeing their morals. But morals cannot be seen by a purse, by a necklace, by some shoes. You got to watch their decisions. You got to watch their actions. Then you start to determine, damn, does this dude got morals? This dude ain't got no morals. This woman ain't got no morals. It says what?
It says moral life and conduct, a particular moral excellence.
It says a particular moral excellence. And that's not shown easily. Damn sure ain't shown in no outfit. A man could have a 3-piece suit on and be a criminal. And be a crook and a murderer. That don't make a man good because he got a 3-piece suit on. That don't make a man righteous because he dressed up and he got the right shoes on and the right outfit on. That don't make him righteous. You got to watch them decisions. Read on.
And if a man love righteousness, her labors are virtues, for she teacheth temperance.
Because if you care about what the Most High cares about, the Most High will give a woman what?
Temperance.
If she cares enough about what's right to the Most High, she'll study about temperance. Temperance is self-restraint, self-control. She'll study about putting herself under control, putting her actions under control, putting her speech under control. Read on.
And prudence.
And prudence. Prudence is sagacity. Good decision making. Wise decision making. Read on.
Justice.
Justice.
And fortitude.
And fortitude. So, justice is the ability to treat people right and see judgment according to how the Most High sees judgment. Fortitude, another word for fortitude. Let me see if I can find this word. Somebody give me this definition right quick.
Fortitude.
No. Give me this definition right here.
You want the fortitude implied?
I know I could probably say it better than I can spell it. Magnanimity.
Magnanimity.
Magnanimity. Read that word right there.
Magnanimity. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Greatness of mind.
It says, because when you read about fortitude, the definition of fortitude is about an inward strength. It's the quality of mind that you possess. It's about how well you can determine good and bad decisions. So this word right here is, read that word again. I can barely say it.
Magnanimity.
Magnanimity or magnanimous. Or magnanimous. Read that.
Greatness of mind.
It says greatness of what?
Of mind.
Greatness of mind. Go ahead.
That elevation or dignity of soul.
It says the elevation or dignity of soul. So what these virtues are have nothing to do with your outfit. They have everything to do with the quality of your spirit. They have everything to do with the greatness of your mind, how you think. See, a woman without instruction will never get to the point where she can elevate the spirit. See, you can go to all the schools you want to go to. That'll just educate you in a skill or a job or a particular level of understanding. That'll just give you some knowledge. But what can elevate your spirit? See, they don't teach that in school. They don't teach spiritual elevation as a subject. You may get religion as a subject. You may get theology as a subject. But spiritual elevation is not in no educational field. You can't get spiritual elevation with 20 credits and 30 credits. You're not going to get an associate's in spiritual elevation. There's only one thing that works the soul. There's only one thing that critiques and fixes and repairs the soul. And that's the word of the Most High. See, so until a woman gets her soul tweaked by the word of God, she's not going to have this ability to have an elevated soul. Read that definition again.
Magnanimity. Greatness of mind, that elevation or dignity of soul, which encounters danger and trouble.
And that's what fortitude is about. Fortitude is about having a certain being built up in your spirit where you don't fear trouble. You don't fear danger. You don't just be this helpless like, oh my God, I can't do anything. I'm just afraid of everything. You know, when you read about godly women went to war with no fear. Sometimes the women had to encourage the men. Sometimes the women had more fortitude than the men. He said, this is the understanding. That's why I said this explains fortitude very well, because it's an inward strength of mind that helps you overcome obstacles. So when you lose your job, you don't just lose, you just don't quit and give up. Because that's what weak women do. Weak women don't have this spirit. Weak women and worldly women lose their brain and they lose their mind. And they go to stripping and sliding up and down poles when things get hard. They start showing their body off and selling their body, tricking. Because they don't have this spirit. Yeah, you eventually that's what happens. That's what it ends up doing. You end up doing. You end up tricking for cash because you don't have this fortitude. So you just resort to whatever way you can to make money, instead of having this ability. You showing your backside for some change because you're weak in the mindset, because you don't possess these inward virtues. Read.
Justice and fortitude.
No, the definition.
Also.
Which encounters danger and trouble.
So yeah, when you hit a little wall and the money ain't good, that don't mean you just gotta lose your virtues. You don't have to throw your virtues in the trash because things got hard. Because finances was a little stiff this week, or we had a hard month, or last couple of months my job ain't been coming through. So now I gotta go to different levels and extremes of disrespecting myself.
You gotta use what you got to get what you want.
You know what? That's that country song, Fancy, man. I watch that. Who's that? Who sang that song, Fancy? Here's your one chance, Fancy, don't let me down. Man, y'all ain't got, man,
That song's
man,
deep,
come
bro.
on, man. Y'all,
That's a deep
If
song.
you from Texas, if you from Texas, you should, you know what I'm saying? You from the South, you from the South, you should know that song. You should watch the video too, write that down. Watch
Rebel McIntyre.
Reba McIntyre.
Reba McEntire.
Watch Fancy by Reba McIntyre. It's about a mother who hit hard times and started selling her daughter off in order to make it. That's why she said, here's your one chance, Fancy, don't let me down.
Mhm.
You get out there and put that dress on and do what you got to do to bring that money in. Crazy.
That's Players Club too.
You know what that is? That's a woman with no fortitude. That whole song was about a woman with no fortitude. Damn, you got to resort to that because you hit hard times? That's where it's at? You got to put that dress on, that super tight red dress,
Put on
that go get 'em dress.
Go
You know what I'm saying? That's where it's at.
Times are hard.
But read that definition again.
Magnanimity, greatness of mind, that elevation or dignity of soul, which encounters danger and trouble with tranquility.
With what?
With tranquility.
Oh, baby, don't worry about it. You get another job.
With tranquility.
Don't worry about it, baby. We're going to get through this.
With tranquility.
Don't worry about it. You're going to be all right. We're going to be all right.
With tranquility.
We're going to be all right.
And firmness.
And what?
And firmness.
Don't worry about that, baby. I just pick up some extra hours on my job. I put in overtime. Don't even worry about it. I work weekends. Don't worry about it. Don't stress it, man. You ain't got to stress. You know what? Usually you only find this firmness of mind with grandmas.
Yep.
Only grandma got this firmness of mind. Everybody else be lacking this. But if you care about virtues and doing what's right, this is the spirit you'll pick up. And this is the spirit that a young woman should want to have. You need to be paying attention to your elders. You need to be reading the scriptures. Because them old ladies got this kind of fortitude. Because they'd have been around long enough to realize that, you know what, we weather this. We went through the Great Depression. We can make it through this. We went through Vietnam. We can go through this. We've been through race riots. We can make it through this. We made it through slavery. We can make it through this. But that's a virtue. That's a strength. That's what a young woman should be trying to get. She should be trying to establish this mind frame and create this mind frame into practice. So read that again.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 8 verse 7. And if a man love righteousness, her labors are virtues, for she teacheth temperance and prudence, justice and fortitude, which are such things as men can have nothing more profitable in their life.
Well, no, the Jimmy Choos.
As men can have nothing more profitable.
The Michael Kors.
Which are such things.
The Marc Jacobs.
Which are such things.
I iced her wrist out.
Which are such things.
Birkin bags.
VVS.
Which are such things.
Go ahead.
As men can have nothing more profitable in their life.
It said, what's some of the best things a man can have in his life? Well, first he's talking about these virtues. Men can obtain these virtues as well.
Mm-hmm.
These virtues go both ways.
Yeah, true.
He said these things are profitable. See, but a woman don't see the value in these virtues. She don't see the value in temperance, self-restraint, self-control. She don't see the that temperance is mildness of manner, mildness of disposition. She don't be tripping. Just because something don't go right, she don't be tripping. When something goes wrong and she's tripping, she lacks virtues. And she got to make a big situation out of small things, she lacks virtues. When everything is a problem, she lacks virtues. That's what it's showing. Now, let's go to Josephus, page 164. Antiquities of the Jews, book 6, chapter 8, and start at the top of the chapter.
You said chapter 8?
book 6, chapter 8, and start at where it says for when Samuel inquired of the Most High. We're in the Josephus. We're in book 6, chapter 8, and we're at the top of the chapter.
Say 162 page?
Page 164.
64.
Yeah, read that. Yep.
The Antiquities of the Jews, chapter 8, and paragraph 1, page 164. For when Samuel inquired of the Most High whether he should anoint this youth.
So he was talking about Eliab, one of David's brothers, right? I believe it was Eliab, who was bigger and of all the brothers, and he looked like a king because he was taller, and he had the stature of a.
What was this again? I mean, what page?
Page 164, book 6, chapter 8, and we're at the top of the page. Yeah, read that.
Okay. For when Samuel inquired of the Most High whether he should anoint this youth, whom he so admired and esteemed worthy of the kingdom.
Go back to page 163 and start at sentence 158.
158.
Yeah, that way we can just come up to this point, get to this point.
Okay. And when they all saluted him and asked what was the occasion of his coming, he told them he came to sacrifice to the Most High.
Go ahead.
When, therefore, he had gotten the sacrifice ready, he called Jesse and his sons to partake of those sacrifices. And when he saw his eldest son to be a tall and handsome man.
So when Samuel came to following the instructions of the Most High to come anoint a new king, he said he pulled Jesse to the side and said, "Hey man, do you have some sons?" So when Jesse brought out his son, he brought the oldest son out. He said he was what?
A tall and handsome man.
So right off the bat, Samuel thought what?
That's the king.
We found our guy. We found our man.
We got him.
You know what I'm saying? We got him, man. No, look no further. Tall and handsome, look no further. It's got to be him. Read.
He guessed by his comeliness.
He guessed by his what?
His comeliness.
His comeliness, his attractiveness. See, a lot of us guess who our partner should be because of their outward appearance and their attractiveness. That's how a lot of us choose partners and choose mates, because we find something that we feel is a desirable attribute of this person that's attractive to us in our sight, and then we choose a partner based upon our sight.
Pleasures, yeah.
Yep. Read on.
That he was the person who was to be their future king.
Go ahead.
But he was mistaken.
He said, but what?
But he was mistaken.
He was mistaken. Samuel was mistaken, man. Go ahead.
In judging about the Most High's providence.
It says, in judging about how the Most High looks at people. See, the problem is, our ways are not the Most High ways. His ways are higher than our ways, and his thoughts are higher than our thoughts. See, we don't always look at people the way the Most High looks at people. We're too busy looking at the outward appearance. We're too busy looking at the external, the superficial things that are really not that important. That's why the scriptures say in Proverbs, hold this, go to Proverbs 31 real quick and read verse 30.
Proverbs chapter 30, verse 31.
31 verse 30.
Oh, 31 and verse 30. Favor is deceitful.
It says, yeah, because this person has something that I like. So I favor this person based upon my decision making and my liking. He says favor is what?
Deceitful.
Man, don't you know because this person shows you something that you are attracted to, that doesn't mean that this is right? You can't go off what you take a liking to. Man, she cool, man. Man, she just inside she's a fighter.
Yeah.
She's a fighter, man. I like the fact that she got a lot of passion. She feisty. I like that about her. You don't know what that's gonna bring you.
Spiciness gonna come back. That's what you don't expect.
You know, man, she just got this soft, gentle eyes, man. She just looks at me and I melt, man, because she just She got these dove-shaped almond eyes.
Love at first sight.
Oh my goodness, man. He said favor is what?
Deceitful.
It's deceitful. Read on.
And beauty is vain.
And what?
Beauty is vain.
Man, you have to understand how the Most High looks at people. See, the Most High sees the real in people. He sees the truth in people. We're too busy looking at the external. Let that go and go back to where we was at in Josephus.
In Ticket to the Jews, book 6, chapter 8, and in paragraph 1, and then 159. But he was mistaken.
He said he was what?
Mistaken.
Go ahead.
In judging about the Most High's providence.
Go ahead.
For when Samuel inquired of the Most High whether he should anoint this youth, whom he so admired and esteemed worthy of the kingdom.
Go ahead. He said because he was handsome, he was tall, he was good looking, he was an attractive son of Jesse. Read on.
The Most High said, men do not see as the Most High seeth.
He says, man does not see people like I look at people. Read.
Thou indeed hast respect to the fine appearance of this youth.
He says, you were too busy caught up into how this man looks, and this is why you thought you should anoint him king, because you was too busy into looks.
So Most High was checking Samuel?
He was checking Samuel. He was recorrecting his vision. Read on.
And thence esteemest him worthy of the kingdom, when I propose the kingdom as a reward, not of the beauty of bodies.
Listen to what he said. He says, the Most High told Samuel, I don't give the kingdom to people based on the beauty of bodies. That doesn't qualify them to be king or queen because they got beautiful bodies. I don't put them in positions of leadership because of their outward appearance. Read.
But of the virtue of souls.
He says, I put people in charge based upon what?
Virtue of souls.
The virtue of their spirit. The quality of the spirit is more important to the Most High than the outward beauty. All we do is choose wrong every day. We make bad decisions every day because we don't share the Most High's perspective. We don't share the fact that I should be looking for virtues versus than height, size, money, what they can do for me, how they make me feel. I should be looking for virtues. That should be on my checklist of things necessary to make a relationship. Do you possess these virtues? Not do you have this eye color? Do you have this hair color? Do you have this body size or body type? That's what TV is for. Let the TV shows dictate who's good for who. The flavor of love. Let Flavor Flav to tell you who's good and who's not. But that's just TV. That's not real life. We be all into these dating shows, thinking that this is the way I should carry myself in order to get this type of woman.
Yeah, everybody's manners change based on what the popularity of the show.
Right. It's ridiculous.
And right now, I can't lie, the young generation, it's like a generation of women, they're dressed like anime characters now.
Anime characters and half-dressed divas, so-called divas of their generation. One of the definitions of divas is demons.
Yeah.
Read.
Come. And I inquire after one that is perfectly comely in that respect.
He says, the Most High says, I'm looking for the virtue of souls. That's who I'm looking for as to being leaders. People that have a good build-up of their interior. Their soul and their mind is right. They have a good quality of spirit. That's what the Most High says he's looking to be in positions of authority. Not has nothing to do with physicality. Read on.
I mean, one who is beauty.
And he goes on to explain exactly what he means. He says, I mean, one whose beauty, go ahead.
In piety.
He says, wow. They have what?
Piety.
Piety is reverence or respect to the Most High. That's what piety is. He says, how much do they respect me and how much do they love me? Because that's one virtue he's looking for. If you're dealing with a woman or a man who has no piety, no reverence or respect of the Most High, then you're setting yourself up for failure. They don't have no respect for the Bible. They don't got no respect for order. They don't have no respect for laws. You're setting yourself up for trouble. Piety is reverence or respect for the Most High. Read on.
And righteousness.
And doing things the right way. They care about doing things in order.
Sure.
Read.
And fortitude.
And they carry fortitude. One definition of fortitude, I can't say the word. I know what it means though.
Magnanimity.
Say it again.
Magnanimity.
Man, I said it too fast, man.
Magnanimity.
Magnanimity. Yeah. The M&M's, man. What is that? What's that definition you had for it? And read the definition of fortitude. They coincide with each other.
You said greatness of mind.
Greatness of mind.
That elevation or dignity of soul.
That elevation or dignity of soul. That's what the Most High is looking for. How dignified is your soul?
Fortitude.
And then he
Strength
said,
or firmness of mind. You just said that?
he said, now definition of fortitude is what?
Fortitude. That strength or firmness of mind or soul
Or soul.
which enables a person to encounter danger
Yes.
Now,
with coolness.
with calmness, right? Now read that definition of magnanimity.
Yeah, there's more to it. Greatness of mind. That elevation or dignity of soul which encounters danger and trouble with tranquility and firmness.
It says with tranquility and what?
Firmness.
And firm. Somebody that's not going to trip out when they got to come into some danger or they come into some problems. Somebody don't lose their damn mind because things get difficult. The Most I said, that's what I'm looking. Those are the virtues that I like. You know how to stay calm under pressure. Pressure don't make you change. Pressure don't make you fold. And pressure don't make you quit. That's what people do. As soon as things get a little uncomfortable, they want to bounce. They want to look for greener pastures. I got to go back home. I got to go back to my parents' house. I got to go back home. I got to go back to my city. I got to go back here. I got to go back. I got to give up. I didn't even go back to who I used to be. I was better with the person I used to be. I don't know who this new person is. Just because you running into a little difficulty. Can't bear or endure anything. You always want to quit. He said that's not a beauty of soul. That's not an attractiveness to the spirit. Read on. Let that definition go.
Okay.
Back in Josephus.
And fortitude. And obedience.
And somebody that has what?
Obedience.
Somebody who's obedient. The Most High says he's looking for these individuals. These are great qualities to have. Read.
For in them consists the comeliness of the soul.
The word comeliness means attractiveness. He says, for these are the virtues that if you have these things, the Most High finds your soul attractive. He don't care about how physically attractive you are, but is your soul attractive? And if you have an attractive soul, an attractive spirit, the Most High is willing to do more things for you in leadership, as far as leadership and control over his flock. He uses you in better capacities because you got the right mind frame. You got the right spirit. You got the right influence. You don't flake out because things get difficult. You don't quit. That's a beautiful soul. That's what's attractive. That's not vanity. Let that go and go back to 1 Peter chapter 3. Pick up in verse 4.
First Peter chapter 3. You want verse 4 again?
Yeah.
1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 4 reads, but let it be the hidden man of the heart.
It says, but let it be the what?
The hidden man.
And we know that the hidden man of the heart is looking to decorate themselves with what? Virtues, piety, temperance, justice, fortitude, magnanimity. Same definition as fortitude. Read.
In that which is not corruptible.
And he says, which cannot be corrupted, because all that physical beauty fades.
That's true.
All that nice hair. You know what happens when your hair turns gray? It turns thick and coarse. It changes its texture. It don't operate and do exactly what you want it to do.
Can I say this to you? I love what you're saying. If I'm so dependent and solely dependent on my looks and my beauty to keep my man or whatnot, the end product sometimes is, as we age, he'll look at a younger version of that person.
Yeah.
There's always a brand new Mercedes Benz.
A newer version.
There's a new Corvette coming out. This Corvette was great in '84, but I want the '94. That's what happens a lot of times. People, if you're about the external, and then that's the relationship I have with the person, then they're eventually gonna upgrade.
Trade you in.
They're gonna trade you in and upgrade to that brand new model.
You.
There's a brand new model with the same curly texture, with the same little Asian eyes, the same little side. That's my type. You become a man's type. You don't want to be a type. You want to have a character quality that he can't find nowhere else anyway. I can't find this nowhere else.
These virtues are hard to get. But a pretty face, that's all over the place.
Diamond does.
Pretty face, pretty waist. I can always get that.
True.
I'll buy that for $1. You know what I'm saying? But you know what? When you got these virtues, you can't buy those virtues. You can't find those virtues. There's no new model for that. You know why? Because they forever hold their value. And this is what he says. Read verse 4 again. That's how you know that these virtues are immortal. They always hold their value. They never age. See, there's parts of people that fade as you get older. There's parts about you that can never fade. The virtues are the parts that if you have them and acquire them, it will never fade. Read that again in verse 4.
Verse 4. But let it be the hidden man of the heart.
Go ahead.
And that which is not corruptible.
It's not what?
Corruptible.
Hold on. Let me get this real quick. Not corruptible, right? It says definition of corruptible in the Greek.
Anthropos, not liable to corruption or decay, imperishable.
It says these virtues are what?
Imperishable.
These virtues never fade. They never get old. They always maintain their value. What else? Second definition.
Immortal.
What's the second definition of uncorruptible?
Immortal.
See, so there's attributes that you can add to yourself where the Most High will always look at you as the right kind of person, as a beautiful spirit. And that spirit, no matter how old you get physically, you never get old in the eyes of the Most High spiritually, because you maintain and possess these virtues.
True.
That's how you know it's immortal. That's how you know it lasts forever. Well, we're too busy chasing implants and injections, sun tanning. All that stuff fades, man. That's Botox. All that stuff get old. All that stuff start drooping and sagging. Read on.
It says, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit.
Oh man, he says even an ornament of what?
A meek and quiet spirit.
And what never gets old with the Most High? A spirit that's what?
Meek and quiet.
What's that definition of meek and quiet?
Prius, mildness of disposition.
A woman that knows how to stay calm and not scream and yell and get angry and get hostile and start flying off at the mouth. Everything just don't make her explode. Everything ain't dynamite. You walk in this dynamite, you got landmines all over the house. As soon as you touch something, why'd you touch that? As soon as you go in the room, I just vacuumed. As soon as you lay down, I made up the bed, I need to wash clothes. Take your shoes out, you're dirty, you stink. It's like, damn, you walk in the house with landmines, man. No matter what you do, it's wrong. You can't even say hello. What you looking at? You see I'm busy. Don't talk to me. It's like, come on, man. Who wants that energy? Who wants that temperament when you come home? Nobody want that. That's why the scripture says it's better to dwell in the corner of a rooftop than with a brawling and contentious woman. Who wants a brawling and contentious woman? Oh, because she keeps it real.
Too real.
She keeps it real. That's what it is. She's a real one. Oh, you're a real one. The real ones turn into only ones. And lonely ones.
Yeah.
I'm just keeping it real. You just can't handle a strong woman. That's a little too strong for me.
Can't handle no masculine.
Yeah, you can't handle. Yeah, no, you're right. I can't handle it. I was deceived. Your hips deceived me. Your thighs deceived me. When we met, I was looking wrong. She had subtle ankles. Subtle ankles.
They're so graceful at the time.
You looking at the wrong thing, man. She was pigeon-toed. She was knock-kneed, bow-legged. You looking at the wrong. You looking at the wrong. You looking at the wrong thing, man. So he said this talking about the inward person that's decorated on the inside. How is she decorated on the inside? It says with a meek and quiet spirit. It says mildness of what?
Of disposition.
Go ahead.
Gentleness of spirit.
It says she's gentle in her spirit. There's some kindness and some softness in her spirit, in her speech. The way she talks to you is kind. It's loving. It's soft. Don't you know that those are the keys to unlock a man's heart? You just can't use them keys to unlock everybody's heart. But if you want to get the best out of your man as a woman, it starts with how you talk to him and the attitude that comes out of your mind. The conversation that comes out of your mind. It comes from your disposition. How you look at him, how you talk to him. It makes all the difference in the world. A lot of times, a woman don't know how to talk to a man, so she gets the worst of a man. See, these virtues are keys that can help aid the marriage, that can strengthen the marriage. These keys are motivational tools for the marriage. They keep the marriage inspired when you got a soft, mild-mannered, soft disposition woman. That's why men be going all the way to China and Japan to go get a woman. Because they got the inward attributes. They don't argue. They don't say much. They do what they told. They clean. They cook. You know, he went all the way over there across the world to get one, and it was unlawful.
Yeah. Made that man sin, huh?
Yeah. It pushed him all the way to Europe. It pushed that man to Australia. But he's showing there's a certain inward beauty that stands above any outward beauty that any woman could ever put on. He said, now, to prove that, just in that portion where he says mildness of disposition and gentleness of spirit and meekness. Go to Ecclesiastes real quick, chapter 26. Verse 14. We read it last week.
Ecclesiastes chapter 26 and verse 14. A silent and loving woman is a gift of the Lord.
Man, go ahead.
And there is nothing so much worth.
That's a treasure. That has real value. He said a silent and loving. She's gentle in her disposition, the way she talks, the way she acts. It's not the Jimmy Choo, it's the Jimmy Shh. She got on those, man. That's what she wearing. That's what make her valuable. That's what she decorate herself with. That's what never gets old. It said that's a treasure, man. That's a treasure. Go ahead.
So the silent and loving woman is a gift of the Lord, and there is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed.
He says, so when you got these attributes put on display, and this is what you care about investing in. This is your investment. A woman's investment and a man's investment should be adopting these attributes, these virtues. This is what you should be caring about.
Most High don't give those gifts to just anybody.
No, he don't. He don't. 1 Peter chapter 3. Let's keep going.
1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 4 reads, but let it be the hidden man of the heart, and that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit.
Go ahead.
Which is in the sight of the Most High of great price.
How does the Most High look at a woman that's
Golly.
meek and quiet? Read that definition right there.
Precious.
This is the definition of what the Most High said. When a woman has these characteristics, her value. This is her value. This is the definition of her value when she has these attributes. Read.
Polotelis. Precious.
He said, "This in the eyes of the Most High, this woman is what?
Precious.
This woman is precious." What's the definition of precious?
Requiring a very great outlay. Very costly.
He said, "Man, this is an expensive woman."
Wow.
That's why in Proverbs 31 it says, "Who can find a what? A virtuous woman." He says her price is far above what?
Rubies.
He said, "Man, this is valuable when you got." See, men don't understand what real value is. Women don't understand either, because they don't pursue after virtues. They undermine the quality of virtues and the importance of virtues. They devalue what the Most High considers beautiful. So they leave it out of their life. And when you leave virtues out of your life, you wonder why your life is hell. Read on.
Excellent. Of surpassing value.
Or you wonder why, damn, how can this person just bounce on me and look at me like I was so cheap? Well, how can they just look at me like a piece of meat? Well,
Yeah, I'm not no object. I'm not an
Yeah.
object.
I'm not just a piece of meat. Don't look at me like, well, what else you got going for you? What else is in you that has value? So I don't just look at you like a piece of meat. What else do you possess? It says what?
Excellent of surpassing value.
It says excellent. He says, so when a woman has these virtues, her price or her value surpasses value. You can't put a price on her when a woman possesses these attributes.
And it says extremely expensive.
Extremely expensive, man. They don't got this kind of woman in a showroom. They don't have this in a window. You can't mall shop this one.
Everybody don't have access to this kind of.
It's not on the shelf.
Kind of.
It's not on the rack.
People wearing rubies either.
You can't buy that.
Really?
You can't purchase a person with these values. And the Most High passes people out that have these values, and they hold important positions in His kingdom. Because they occupied themselves with making their soul beautiful, not just their physical body. They wasn't investing into their physique. They're investing into their spirit. That's where the investment should be. It's not how you look on the outside. If you decorate, give me that basilica. We're gonna wrap it up because it's already 10 o'clock.
It's that time.
Yeah, get this real quick. We're gonna read Basilica Duran, page 1. We're gonna start at 159. We're gonna get straight to the point. Go to read this right here. he's showing the purpose of clothing. Read this right here. He said, but to return to the purpose of garments.
Basilica on Duran, page 160. King James conversation to his son, advice to his son on page 160, right?
Yeah, right
point,
there.
Point 27.
But to return to the purpose of garments.
But to return to the purpose of garments.
He's telling his son, he said, listen, man, this is the purpose of clothing. This is the purpose of why the Most High allow us to put on clothes. And we're not animals. Go ahead.
They ought to be used according to their first institution by the Most High.
It says they should be used by the first institution of the Most High. What's the first institution of the Most High? Having man put on clothes. Go ahead.
Which was for 3 causes. First, to hide our nakedness and shame.
He says the purpose of clothing was to hide your what?
Nakedness and shame.
It's to hide your nakedness and your private areas. Your nakedness and your shame. So, go to Exodus chapter 28 and read verse 42.
Exodus chapter 28, verse 42.
Read that.
And thou shalt make them linen breeches.
It says the Most High said, the children, talking to the children of Israel, that they're supposed to have linen breeches. For what?
To cover their nakedness.
Why the Most High have you men put on breeches?
To cover their
The
nakedness.
Most High don't want to see your backside, man. He don't want to see your butt. He don't want to see your parts. He don't want to see your body. The Most High ain't about. That's why he says he gave them instruction to make linen breeches to cover what?
Their nakedness.
The Most High, he don't want to see your nakedness. Neither should you want your nakedness to be shown.
Adam and Eve.
Go ahead.
The loins, even unto the thighs.
He says from the loins, from your midsection all the way down to your thighs. That should be covered at all times. Go ahead.
Even shall they reach.
Even shall they reach. That's how far the covering, the breeches should go. And that's just the undergarment. That ain't including all the rest of the clothes. That's just the undergarments. That's why you watch old women, if they wore a dress, they wore slips.
That's true.
They wore slips under the dress to make sure that they're completely covered. Then they had on some stockings.
Yeah.
But King James said, the original reason is to cover the nakedness. He's right. The Most High don't want to see your nakedness. You don't see your pants hanging down your back. Pick your pants up.
I remember Mashaba said that it was a shame for a woman to show her ankles.
Right. You could barely see her ankles. Because she wore anklets. And that was about the only thing you could see. Go ahead.
It says, next and consequently, to make us more comely.
It says, and to add some attractiveness to us. Clothes are supposed to accentuate you. Not make you, but just accent you. As an accessory to you. Your clothes don't make the person. They're just an accessory. But not even to over accessorize. Go ahead.
And thirdly, to preserve us from the injuries of heat and cold.
And to protect you from the elements. But the clothes don't make you. You shouldn't be about just what you got on. And your confidence shouldn't be in the material that's over your body. Read on.
If to hide our nakedness and shameful parts, then these natural parts ordained to be hid.
It says these natural parts were ordained to be what?
Hid.
All your natural parts were supposed to be hid and put away. Nobody's supposed to be looking at your natural parts. It's not for everybody to see. Read on.
Should not be represented by any indecent form.
He said you should never represent yourself in any indecent forms. Go ahead.
In the clothes. And if they should help our comeliness, they should not then, by their painted, preened fashion serve for baits.
He says, and you should never use clothes for what?
To serve for baits.
But that's what them dresses for. That's what them short skirts are for. That's what the mini skirts are for.
Wow, King James knew what was going on.
He knew he was ahead of his time.
Wow.
He says your clothes are not supposed to be meant for bait. If you showing your body off, obviously you're fishing.
Thirst trapping now.
Yeah,
Thirst trap.
thirst trapping, fishing, putting yourself out there, baiting yourself for who? If you're a wife, what do you need to be baiting yourself for? He's showing the intention behind what clothes are supposed to be for, used for. He said they are not at all ever to be used for baits. Read.
Serve for baits to filthy lechery.
To filthy what?
Lechery.
Lechery is looseness, lasciviousness, for satisfying lust. Go ahead.
As false hair.
And to catch people through lust, as false hair. People put on these lace front wigs, but it's for the purpose of presenting themselves to catch somebody.
Got it.
I gotta get that book.
It says, as false hair, weaves, wigs ain't nothing new. Extensions ain't new. Fake hair ain't new. The majority of mattresses used to be filled with horse hair. They had multiple purposes.
Go on your mattress and get
Yeah, pull it out your mattress, man. Go ahead.
And ferding.
He's explaining what that ferding is. Ferding is what?
Tolerant. Oh. Makeup. Wow. Makeup.
Says you shouldn't be putting clothes on to catch people. And you shouldn't be out there trying to use and accentuate your clothes for lustful purposes. And adding fake hair on your body. And adding what?
Makeup.
Well, go ahead.
Painting of the face.
And ferding is makeup and painting of the face. Go ahead.
Does amongst unchaste women.
Who uses fake hair and uses their clothes to catch people and puts on a whole lot of makeup?
Unchaste women.
He says this is who does this. So when you see fake hair, when you see makeup, when you see short clothes, revealing outfits, he says this is the evidence of what?
Unchaste women.
This is an unchaste woman. There's no virtue in that. Because who's she trying to catch? Who's it for? It's not for the Most High. This is just more information about how you should carry yourself and what you should be looking for when you're intertwining yourself with a person and making a lifelong partner. The topic of the class is still being discreet in marriage. But a lot of us don't look for these things. We're not aware of these things. We're not conscious of these things. We just connect with anybody based upon looks. And then find out the hard way later, man, I should have been asking for virtue. What am I doing? Virtues are what matters. You like this outfit that I got? No, that's not. No, I'm not. No, I don't care about y'all. No. You don't like this blue? You don't like me in blue? No. I like you in truth. I like you in truth. I don't like you in blue. You know what I'm saying? Using the wrong elements, the wrong clothes for the wrong reason. But he said you got to know what's appropriate. And this is some golden advice, rock solid advice.
Yeah.
That you can find in the scripture, and you can find it advice from King James to his son. All these make up the person that you're dealing with. You're supposed to be looking for these things, indicators of what's valuable. But it's not just for men, it's not just for women either. Read this right here.
As for if.
Yeah, read that.
All right here. Sometimes richlier, sometimes meanlier.
No, right here it says, for if your mind
Okay,
becomes.
slack you.
He said, now this is for men. Now if you got a man, he's talking about for men, it was not virtuous in men either. Read this right here.
For if your mind be found unoccupied, if your mind be found occupied upon them.
If a man's mind is always occupied on clothes, a man is always consumed with shopping and clothes. Go ahead.
It will be thought idle otherwise.
It says somebody will think that this man got too much damn time on his hand. All you talk about is shopping. Read on.
And ye shall be accounted in the number of one of these country juveniles.
He says you'll be considered as a Comte juvenile. Now, the Comte juvenile, go ahead, means
arrayed like a youth.
Comte juvenile means arrayed like a youth, dressed like a young man. You'll be looked at if all you care about is constantly putting on clothes. He says people will start considering you a Comte juvenile or arrayed like a young man. Go ahead.
The phrase is found in Ovid's Herodes. It says, away.
What does Comte juveniles mean?
Away from me with your young men arrayed like women.
It says Comte juvenile means get the hell away from me when you got a young man arrayed or dressed like what?
Like women.
Like women. You got skinny jeans on. You got low rise jeans on. You wearing skirts. He said, get the hell away from me. You young men arrayed like women. Your young men. He says you're gonna be put in that category.
So you like 39 wearing skinny jeans.
Wearing skinny jeans. Wearing effeminate apparel. He said you start to look too effeminate. Go ahead.
Goes into it right there. It says close readers of the text may find another covert reference to homosexuality here.
It says if you read it close enough, he's making references that you're too much into clothing, so you're starting to present yourself as a what?
Homosexual.
As a homosexual. Yeah.
Pretty boy Floyd.
Too pretty.
Sugar.
Go ahead.
Which will make your spirit and judgment to be less thought of.
It says will make your spirit and judgment to be less thought of. Why would your dress code be making your spirit and judgment less thought of? Read that in Deuteronomy 22 and 5. Somebody read Deuteronomy chapter 22 verse 5.
Deuteronomy 22 and verse 5. The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man.
It says a woman should not wear the clothing that pertain to a man. Read on.
Neither shall a man put on a woman's garment.
He says neither shall a man put on what?
A woman's garment.
A man shouldn't be damn wearing no woman's clothes.
So what if the woman's pants is tight and they got the little slits in them and they pink?
A woman should not be pants are breeches.
But they
pants are breeches
for women.
Oh, but a woman should be wearing a dress.
Yeah, they have rompers for men. They have rompers for men. So you're gonna buy what they say? They have rompers for men.
Yeah.
You can buy it.
Yeah.
It's for men.
Onesies. Short onesies.
That's where they came with the whole skinny jeans.
But read on.
Down. For all that do so.
He says for the man that's inappropriate in his dress, wearing and dressing like a Comte juvenile. He says, or a woman dressing like a man, for all that do so, go ahead.
Are abomination unto the Lord thy power.
And he says, this is why he says that, he says, which will make your spirit and judgment to be less thought of. Because you'll look like a who?
Abomination.
Because you'll look like an abomination. So nobody's going to take your spirit serious. Nobody's going to take your judgment serious when you're a grown man dressing like a woman. Nobody's going to take you serious. Because you're looking like an abomination. You're carrying yourself like an abomination. Who's going to take you serious? That's why it says it's going to make your spirit less thought of. Like, wait a minute, something's wrong. Read on.
But especially a shoe to be effeminate in your clothes.
What is he telling his son?
But especially a shoe to be Like he shoot, like Israel shoot evil.
Yeah, to stay away from.
Yeah.
To run away from.
But especially eschew, to be effeminate in your clothes.
He says to make sure you stay far away from being effeminate in your what?
Clothes.
In your clothes. He's telling this to a man. A man should not have effeminate attire, effeminate apparel, effeminate clothing. Read on.
In perfuming.
As far as constantly perfuming, go ahead.
Preening.
Constantly picking at and preening and tailoring and being real careful and plucking and making sure he's getting his eyebrows arched and he's preening himself. Go ahead.
Or such like.
Or anything close to it. Go ahead.
And fell never in time of wars.
That's it right there. So he's showing that these are unvirtuous behavior patterns of men, and these are unvirtuous behavior patterns of women. These are things that I should be looking for. I got a man that be on my side of the closet picking out my clothes more than he wears his own clothes.
I think you should wear this because I like the way these go together.
I like the way these fit on me. Man, you got a problem.
That's the whole mistake thing I see about the whole skinny jean thing. Like, what if you and your rib almost the same size? And she got some jeans that'll match your shirt, but she ain't got the jeans.
She shouldn't have jeans.
I'm just saying.
She should be wearing dresses.
It's the whole thing about that. Like, it just is. So you gonna ask her real? Can you wear her jeans or what?
I mean, you know what? And this is why I say stay far away from that.
It's confusion.
That's what he's telling his son. These are unvirtuous behaviors. This is what people will look at you and they'll say, man, they'll reduce respect for you because they'll think less of your judgment and your ability to think. You a woman walking around looking like a man, they're not gonna treat her right. Now you want these rights. Now everybody arguing about rights. No, you just don't look right. You're not carrying yourself with dignity. It's inappropriate. There should be a stark separation from what's appropriate and inappropriate in all things. In dress, in speech, in behavior, in virtues. The beauty, the exterior, all that is vanity. We got to start incorporating what the Most High sees as beautiful. Not just what we see as beautiful and attractive. We got to start choosing partners based upon what the Most High sees as beautiful, not just about what we see as beautiful. And instilling these virtues. If you've already married, if you're already in a relationship, then you need to instill these virtues. Instill these qualities. This mild disposition, this meek and quiet spirit, this temperance. You need to instill these virtues because that's valuable. Any questions? I think we'll end it with that, and we'll be done with this class topic, Be Discreet in Marriage. All right? Shalom. Shalom for watching. Shalom for coming out. And,
thanks for coming out.
Shalom.
And quick prayer. Imagine we'll put in walk with Dom, rise and face the east. Yeah, before you cut it off.